Thomas Harriot. He was born in Oxford in 1560 and he died in London on July 2nd of 1621. He was an English astronomer, mathematician, ethnographer, and translator. He was the creator of several symbols and notations used in algebra used so far, such as the symbols greater than or less than. Some sources of information have been the cultivation of potato in Great Britain and Ireland. After graduating from the University of Oxford, Harriot traveled to the Americas on the Walter Raleigh expedition, and his return was to Henry Percy, ninth Earl of Northumberland, becoming part of the prolific mathematician and astronomer in all that has been attributed to the refraction theory. In July of 1609, Harriot observed the Moon through a telescope and drew maps of craters and the mirrors of the face visible of the Earth. Some months before Galileo, being this the first to use a telescope. Expedition to the Americas. He traveled to America between 1585 and 1586. He spent time on Roanoke Island off the coast of North Carolina studying the Algonquian language. His travel story, Brief and True Report of the New Found Land of Virginia, was published in 1588, probably written the year before. This report has the first ethnographic outline of Native Americans that were observed during the expedition and greatly influenced later explorers and settlers. According to Harriot, it could be expected that the natives, through good government, could be attracted in a short time to civilization and to religion. And he considered them industrious and very capable to learn. Nevertheless, these were not the observations that the readers attended, but the information about minerals and other natural resources. As a scientific advisor during the trip, Harriot was required by Raleigh to find the most efficient way to stack the cannonballs on the ship's deck. Hence arose his theory about close packing of spheres, which bears a striking resemblance to modern atomic theory and atomism, of which he was subsequently accused of being a follower. His correspondence around optics with Johannes Kepler influenced the formulation of the Kepler conjecture. Between 1585 and 1586, as I already mentioned before, he traveled to America on the expedition of Walter Raleigh, where he spent some time studying Algonquian language, right? But he also learned the Algonquian language from two Virginia Indians, Wanchese and Manteo. In 1585, Harry joined to the expedition to Roanoke, which failed and returned to England the next year. During his stay in America, Harry helped to explore the present-day Outer Banks region and farther north, the Chesapeake Bay. He also collaborated with the artist John White in producing several maps notable at the time for their accuracy. Although Harriot left extensive papers, the only work published during his lifetime was a brief and true report of the new found land of Virginia, which evaluated the economic potential of Virginia. The report appeared most impressively in Theodore de Bryce in 1580 edition that included etchings based on the White Harriot maps and white watercolors of Indian life. In 1588, Harriot published an abstract of his extensive chronicle as a brief and true report of the new found land of Virginia, the first book in English about the New World, still considered the cornerstone of North American natural history. In detail, the flora, fauna, and land resources, and its exhaustive study of native populations makes it an English language landmark in ethnography and anthropology. A brief and true report of the Newfound Land of Virginia by Thomas Harriot was the first book about North America to be produced by an Englishman who had actually visited the continent. First published in 1588 and reprinted first by Richard Hakluyt the Younger, and then by Theodore the Brown. Harriot's report documented his trip to Roanoke Island off the outer banks of present-day North Carolina from 1585 to 1586, with its descriptions of the region's flora and fauna, along with the Native Americans who lived there. A brief and true report came to be one of the most important texts produced in relation to the beginnings of English settlement in the Americas. Uh, the Braille editions included engravings of images by John White, who had accompanied Harriot and 600 other colonists together. Harriot's text and White's images played a crucial role in encouraging English investors to continue their colonial endeavors in the New World. John White had a painter who later became governor of the 1588 colony on Roanoke Island, worked with Harriot throughout the region to make a visual record that complemented Harriot's drawings of the area indigenous people, as well of plants, animals, and birds, of which only 75 survived. In 1580, Theodore de Bry published Harriot's brief and true report um, of four languages: Latin, German, French, and German, together with other languages, with engravings based on White's map on drawings of Native Americans, shaping the European conception of the New World for centuries. White's surviving watercolors did not become public until the 19th century and were published only in the 20th century. The original reside in the British Museum. Harry lived for a few years at the Abbey of Molana, near Youghal, in a country waterfall, Ireland, that he had received from Relic for his service managing Relic's Irish estates. He returned to London, where he became acquainted with Henry Percy, the ninth Earl of Northumberland, whose service he entered by 1593. By 1598, was receiving a handsome pension of £80 annually, and eventually was given a lifetime interest in Northumberland's land. Holdings at Grantham in County Durham, in a house on Northumberland's estate of Sion House, west of London on the Thames near New. Harriot also had estates in Norfolk and Cornwall. Following the accession of James I in 1903, Relic was charged with treason and imprisoned in the Tower of London. fortunately. Henry was soon imprisoned all along with Northumberland, whose kinsman Thomas Percy was involved in the Gunpowder Plot of 1604, in which Guy Fawkes and his conspirators tried to blow up the House of Parliament. Harry was released in a short time, although Northumberland remained in the Tower of London until 1621. In September of 1607, Herod observed a comet from uh, oh, Refracombo is the name, which which would later be identified as Halley's Comet. Harry died in July of 1621 in London and was buried in St. Christopher Stocks, the site of the President Bank of England, which was destroyed in the Great Fire of 1666, unfortunately. And that was like the whole information that we wanted to present to you. So we really thank you for hitting and listening and watching our presentations. And that was all about Thomas Harriot. So thank you so much.